And remember, everybody, to like, subscribe, hit the bell, comment, share. Everything you do does help. And if you want to help out a little more, try to get yourself a mug and a sticker, head over to my Patreon. Link will be in the description. Donate $5 to my Patreon or my PayPal and receive 3 of the Zippo Mafia stickers. Okay, guys, we're going to get into a very tricky video here of dating your Zippo with the bottom stamp. As you can see from this list, they have changed it a lot of times, and there's a lot of different variations of the same stamp. To try and date your Zippo before 1959, there's no dates at all. This gets very tricky, and this is what I'm going to be going over mostly in this video. And at the beginning, I'm just going to give you a quick little introduction to bottom stamps and what the numbers on them mean and how to date them. So first things first, you're going to see different variations of bottom stamps. These are the 3 most common. You're going to see the early bold, and then you're going to see the 50s and 70s, the fancy handwriting, and then you're going to see the stamp we see today. That's just giving you an idea of the timeline of the stamps. So here you can go to the Zippo website. You just type in Zippo date codes into Google, and then it'll bring you right to the Zippo website. You scroll down, this picture shows up. It's pretty self-explanatory. You look at the bottom of your Zippo, you look in the 60s and 70s, it's a bunch of different variations of dots and slashes. You just match those up with the ones that are on the bottom of your Zippo, and you will find the date. And then when you go over to the late 80s and 90s, you're going to notice they start using letters and Roman numerals. The letters are the months, A being January, L being December, fill in the middle, and the Roman numerals being the year it was made. And then in the 2000s, they switch right over to just numbers. And that's where we are today. Pretty easy, pretty simple to follow. Scroll down a little further, you're going to notice a identification chart for slims, because they didn't use the same dates for slims for some reason for a decade or so there. And the chart ends in 1965 because they realized it was a nuisance to have different Zippos with different date codes, and it was confusing everybody. So eventually slims and regular Zippos became the same date codes. So now we're going to get to 1933 to 1936. This is a very complicated time in Zippo history. It's still a lot of the feeling out phase. There's a lot of different variations of this Zippo, but you're going to see the first ones have patent pending on the bottom. That is because the patent number has not been certified yet, so they put pending on there. And these were made out of square tubes, and then they were soldered. The bottom was soldered on. Zippo eventually stopped doing this later, moving to a solid metal sheet. These early 30s Zippos are extremely rare. They are considered the holy grail of Zippos. They go for insane amount of prices. They're extremely hard to come by. There's many different types of them because there's so many different like prototypes and things they were trying out, and the machinery they were using was very crude back then. You know, it wasn't a huge factory yet, and things were very different. The early 30s are also all going to have the 3-barrel hinge soldered on the outside case. They were not spot welding yet. That was introduced later into the 40s. The inserts for these early 30 Zippos are extremely interesting. They're actually made of solid brass, and they are chromed over. They got a hollow rivet. They have a 16-hole chimney. You can see the squared cam from this photo, and also there is absolutely no markings on the insert. Nothing that says Zippo, and you're also going to see horizontal lines on the flywheel, and it's going to be a closed chimney. All right, as we get on towards the later years here, you're going to notice that patent pending has been removed from the Zippo. The Zippo is also starting to get a little rounder, the case now. It's getting ready to gradually move towards the 41. There's many different shapes and sizes in between these years. And another interesting fact about these years is that in 1937 is when they introduced the 4-barrel hinge welded on the outside. So in these early years before 41, you're going to see the 4-barrel hinge welded on the outside. You're going to see that in 37, 38, 39, 40, and earlier they moved it in. And then on the insert, what's going to be different is it's still going to be brass and chrome all the way up to the 40s. It's still going to have the square cam, but it's going to have a 14-hole chimney, and it's still going to have no markings on it anywhere that say Zippo. Even the original 41s didn't say Zippo on the insert. So people got to stop calling the vintage look Zippos a 1937 replica, because a 37 introduced a 4-barrel hinge and also introduced a 14-hole chimney. So we can assure you that the vintage look is not a 37 replica. A few things have changed from 38 to 40. What you're looking at here, you can already see the case is a little more narrower now. It's a little more rounder. The 4-barrel hinge is on the inside of the case. And the inserts are now made out of steel. Very few things are changing. We're getting ready for the war here. Still no markings on the insert yet either, and the chimney is closed. All right, now 41 to 46 there's a lot of different variations in these years. A lot of different things are going on, and there was wars going on, so materials and ways they built it changed in between that. The picture you're looking at here at the very top is a 42 black crackle. It's hard to see the stamp, but what you're going to notice in all of these ones, these are all legit wartime Zippos. You're going to notice how round the bottom is. From this era is called, the early ones are flat bottom, these ones are all round bottom. And then the one below you're going to see is actually one that's made out of nickel silver. That's why you're getting that yellowish tinge when you look at it. And then some steel case ones below with the black crackle paint worn off, just to show you the stamp difference. Sometimes the lid would even be stamped on these old ones. There is reports of that. Also, any Zippo between 41 to 45 is going to be a steel case Zippo. You could just test that with a magnet. And if you look at the top picture, we will see the last 4-barrel hinge ever made in 1942, replaced by the hinge on the bottom, the 3-barrel, from 1943 to 1949, when it got phased out and used strictly 5-barrel. Also in 1943 is the first time we ever see printing on a Zippo insert. This is a original steel insert from the era. And after the war in 1946, you're going to see the introduction of the nickel silver insert. And the Zippo case will also be made of solid and nickel silver in the years 46 and 47, only for those years. All right, so these years are also pretty tricky here too. And so for 46, 47, your Zippo case is going to be made out of nickel silver. And then from 1948, 1949, and 1950, the cases were all made out of brass again with a chrome coating, and then still a nickel silver insert. And then in 1951, the war had broken out, and all the cases were made out of steel, but 1951 is the only steel case you will have with a nickel silver insert, because 51 was the last year for a nickel silver insert. And then in 1952, you'll have a steel case, steel insert. And that brings us to the end of 52 with this bottom stamp here. And now we will move on. All right, these next 2 years too are also steel case Zippos, but what we're going to see here is a completely new bottom stamp that's only for these 2 years. We'll never see this bottom stamp again. It says patent pending on it and has the number of the new patent number for the new Zippo design. And these were made out of steel cases because of the war, but in 1954, they started to become made out of brass again. So you're going to find these made out of steel covered in chrome, and you're going to find them in brass covered in chrome. And you'll know it's a 53 because it will have steel case that is chromed, and you can hold a magnet to it. And the insert will be, say, patent pending on it also, but the insert is made out of steel. Like I said, the 51s will be the last steel case Zippo with a nickel silver insert. And now after those 2 years, this is when we see the new bottom stamp that's going to come out for a while. It is the 1955. It'll have 4 dots on the left, 4 dots on the right, and it'll say patent pending on the bottom there. And for the 1956, you're going to notice it has 3 dots on the left, 4 dots on the right. Still says patent pending in the number. It has not changed. And we will be moving on to 57. All right, and for 1957, you're going to notice there's 4 dots on either side, but now it has gotten rid of the patent pending symbol. And for the very last year with no date codes, you're going to know you have a 1958 because it is going to say the patent number in the middle now. It has moved over from the left into the middle, and there you go. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you found this video helpful. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. Everything you do does help. And stay tuned for more videos. Check out more on my channel. I got lots of cool stuff on there.